òrìṣà ni. Bá a ṣe ń bọ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá bá a bá fẹ́ mú pé ní ìsìn ògbùrọ̀ ọtí ìṣìnà ààbò.
So the first thing you do to the people is take away everything that holds them up. You know, take away their dances, take away their songs, take away their languages, take away their religion, and you are left with a puppet that can be controlled. The black man doesn't have his own religion. The black man doesn't have his own art. The black man has no language. The black man has nothing. His name has been altered. His psyche, his spirit has been altered. His spirituality, everything, the embodiment of the black man has been altered, destroyed. That's why there's no growth for Africa. We're only going to be playing around.
Throughout my life, I have seen the traditional religions of my African ancestors being demonized, called names like devil worshipping or witchcraft. It was a way for the white colonizers to assert their control. But what if my history is locked in them? What truth do they hold? And what happens if they fall extinct?
The lecturers, they challenge me a lot. That they see me in the class, that why are you wearing white? Why you put on bead? Are you into court? Are you this and that?
Some parts of the country, you don't have the freedom to say or practice your religion in your privacy or in the community.
I wrote a lot of blasphemies that an average Christian can never ever utter in his life, because they believe if they do, you know, the Christian God will strike them on the spot. Like, I blasphemed and nothing happened. I remember one of my friends calling me one time. He told me that, you know, news had it then that I've gone nuts, I've gone crazy, I'm now mad on the streets. That he had his doubts, and he was calling to, you know whether I was really mad.
And to Nigerian is the Banyo, the good Babman, bye bye. And it's like a five Banyo, Diane, a Juju was to buy you, but I because you buy it, I shall look at this. Black or Laba, Cocodino, ya, from the Bellaja. The bag you carry the bag be cast of war. Again, push a logic book while Lodge and you kill the machines. So I buy.
The less you know of your culture, the higher you are. The more you know of a foreign culture, the higher you are. So for instance, if I speak bad Yoruba but I speak good English, then I'm intelligent. I'm a professor. I can't study Yoruba without studying English. It's not possible. I cannot gain admission into the university in southwestern Nigeria without passing English. But the English child doesn't have to pass Yoruba or Igbo or Esoko or any language. So it's their language. The Chinese child doesn't go through the travels that the African person goes through. So extinction is staring at us in the face. There already it's been constructed, and the dumbest of us are the ones that wear the crown.
Today we are initiating someone to Ifa. That is Ifa initiation. We do initiate man and woman. So we are initiating Ifa today. We did one in January, and the May we did one, and today we did one. Like 3 initiations that we do.
Yeah, let's go.
Calling it happened. I was living with my sister then, which is in Lagos. My used to come to check me. So during that stuff, I don't have menstrual pain. So I was having the menstrual pain then. So my mom asked me, she came to check me at my room. So she called my sister to come to check me. So they give me some drugs to use. So about 1 p.m. in the midnight, 1 a.m. in the midnight. So the thing haven't gone, no changes of drugs. So far I've used the drug, no changes. My mother is a Christian. So during that time, she took me to church, different churches. Even my dad frightened her that kí ló dé tó ṣe máa gbé mi lọ sí church, that pé wọ́n ti sọ fún wọn pé nǹkan tó ń ṣe mí ọ̀dọ̀ irúnmalẹ̀ ló wà. But she doesn't listen. Ìgbà míì a dẹ̀ ti máa ṣe sílẹ̀, should be in case tíyàn bá ní emergency patient láti lè rí nǹkan mú lásìkò tí ẹni ẹ bá wá, a máa ń já sílẹ̀, a máa ń ṣe sílẹ̀. Bóyá ẹni tó rí sáré fọ́ tàbí ó sáré gbé aláboyún wá, sọ àwọn nǹkan tíyàn lè lò, tíyàn lè sáré fún yàn láti lè fi ṣe ìwòsàn fẹ́ni yẹn, so èèyàn máa ti já sílẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n kò ń ṣe gbogbo ewé ló ṣe já sílẹ̀, torí ewé mi tẹ́ bá já sílẹ̀ kò ní wúlò mọ́. Ewé mi òòjọ́ ni ẹ máa lò lọ́jọ́ yẹn, lẹ gbọ́dọ̀ já lẹ́dẹ̀ ló ní ọjọ́ yẹn. Ọkọ mi máa ń ràn mí lọ́wọ́ gan torí pé kí ni iṣẹ́ wa papọ̀, òun babaláwo èmi ìyá lórìṣà kò dẹ̀ sí bí babaláwo náà ṣe nílò ewé àti egbò torí pé kí ni ó papọ̀ mọ́ iṣẹ́ tí àwọn ń ṣe. Ìwé àtegbò náà ó ní ìdíwọ̀n nítorí pé tíyàn bá mú nǹkan lápọ̀jù ó lè máa padà ṣe àkóbá sí àgọ́ ara. Àwọn ewé tí ó wà poisonous ó wà dáadáa ewé tí kò ṣe jẹ ó wà ewé mi a gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe ni ká tó lò ó pé tíyàn bá lò láìsí ó lè ṣe àkóbá fára. Ewé mi kẹrẹ kò nídìí ká sè a gbọ́dọ̀ gún kúnnákúnná báyìí ni òun ni ká tó lò torí tí a bá gún ó lè ṣe àkóbá fún ara. Ìyá òòṣà mi tí mo kọ́ tí wọ́n fún mi nímọ̀ nínú iṣẹ́ òrìṣà so àwọn náà máa ń já ewé wọ́n máa ń jẹ́gbò wọ́n máa ń fi wo èèyàn sàn so àti bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mo ti ní ìmọ̀ nípa àwọn ewé àti àwọn àgbo kọ̀ọ̀kan tí a máa ń lò ọ̀dọ̀ ìyá òòṣà mi Títílayọ̀ Àyọ̀ká Jọlá Oṣó ìyá òòṣà gbogbo olómi tútù àgbáyé ibẹ̀ ni mo ti ní ìmọ̀ nípa ewé àti egbò. Yorùbá ló ní ewé Yorùbá ló ní egbò nígbà tí a kéré a ti mọ̀ pé ewé àtegbò nǹkan tó Olódùmarè dá fún wa láti fi máa tọ́jú ara wa ni nǹkan tí Olódùmarè dẹ̀ fi sọ fún wa pé nínú kan àbí méjì tí ó bá ń ṣe wá ewé àtegbò jẹ́ nǹkan tó ṣe kókó tó máa ń wo àrùn sàn. That time I do wear colored before I get into Obatala stuffs. I do wear colored. So during that time, I think when they consult, I don't know then, when they consult or when they do stuff, then I told my dad that all my clothes, they should go and dash them out. They should go to the market and get me white clothes. That I should be wearing white always. So since then, that's why I've been wearing white.
The black man is an endangered race, you know. If you look at the bottom of the developmental ladder, it's right at the bottom because of misconception, misinformation, raiding, and all of the things that the black man has had to go through. So look at it, if you, except we want to lie to ourselves, that the first on the list is the Caucasian, you know, and it goes on and on and then to the Asians, and right at the bottom is the black man.
The lecturers, they challenge me a lot. That they see me in the class, that why are you wearing white? Why you put on bead? Are you into cult? Are you this and that? I said no. That I'm a shoe princess. That's why I wear white, and that's how I dress. That no, it's not possible. You can't be wearing this. No. I said, sir, this is how I dress.
Before the white men, everybody was a religionist in Africa. Then when the white men came, when the Arabs came, they brought Islam, they brought Christianity, and some people showed interest, and a lot of people still show interest. And as I said earlier on, traditional religion is not into evangelism, okay, like Islam and Christianity. It's not as aggressive, okay? It's like Hinduism. You are born into Hinduism, okay? You are born into Hinduism. In African traditional religion, before the colonialists came, you are born into the religion, and you tend.
The African religion is wired to be defeated. So the African religion is the fetish, is the evil one. All our grandmothers are evil witches, and so on and so forth. They own all the proverbs, they own all the wise sayings, but they say they are witches. So we learn English. The grandmother is saying something we don't understand. Grandma speak English. We are so proud of it. We boast with a foreign language. I mean, when any race of people who boast with something that is not theirs, they are spiritually sick, and the height of sickness is spiritual sickness. Physical sickness is okay, but when you are spiritually ill, then you have a problem. When you boastfully say that you speak good English and good French or good German, that makes you superior to my grandmother, who can use just a word. Just one word to teach you, to take you through a journey, a philosophical journey.
Can iska ya bige ta idan na gani, idan aka ga abin an yi maganin wannan an yi asibitin an kuma abin bai ba, ana zuwa a gaya mani. Idan aka zo aka gaya mani, zan ce a kawo mutum ko mace ko namiji ko yaro ko bangaren babba. Abin da ya kamata idan muka bincika za a yi musu sadakokinsu.
I think a lot of religions try as much as possible to get their followers to transcend the physical into the metaphysical, especially through music. So when you have Sufism, for example, in Islam, where you have the dervish that kind of like they roll, they rotate, and they fall into a trance. The same with the traditional Yoruba worshipper. You have the priest or priestess that invokes all the characteristics and qualities of a particular deity. So that priest or priestess now becomes symbolic of that deity. So they immerse themselves. That deity takes over their physical being. That people have said that their eyes change, the voice change, the sound, the inflections of that person that is possessed.
Okay, na farko na gaji ni dai wannan bangaren harkar bori a bangaren kakana wanda ya haifi mahaifiyata ba. Fiye da shekara 22 yanzu ina wannan sabga. Kamar misali a ce yanzu ga mace can iska ya, za mu tsaya mu bincika cikin dare mu ga sadakokin da ya kamata a yi akan Allah ya ba mu mafita akan wannan lamarin duk wanda aka kawo shi. Ni dai suna na Sadiku akan ɓangaren sabgar Bori da ake yi tun ina gani ina jin ba na ra'ayin abin, to da yake Allah bayan da bai iya ba, idan Allah ya jarrabe ka da abu to dole sai abin nan fa Allah ya same ya.
You know, so I think it is something that is common practice across the world, you know. And even the Christians have their moments where they either try to exorcise a demon out of somebody, so that one person is possessed, or they start speaking in tongues where they also fall into some sort of a trance and they are being possessed by spirits.
When the invaders came, they had to take away all of these things. Because you are so rich, they saw elegance, your daughters were queen, like they were princesses, your sons were kings and warriors, they saw all of this. If we allow these people to know who they are, it's going to be difficult. How are we going to survive? So let's rob them of memory, let's rob them of dignity, let's rob them.
And the colonialists did a great job in that. They basically completely reprogrammed our ancestors, we must say now, our parents, our grandparents, and for them that was the ticket out of poverty, and it was the ticket to a new world that promised so much, you know, in terms of material and benefits, wealth. It gave them the opportunity to climb the social ladder and to establish themselves and reinvent themselves.
When we don't understand our language, we don't understand our environment, we're going to live with blackouts. We're going to live with bad roads and corrupt leadership because we've been uprooted. They took, you know, it's like taking cassava and trying to plant it in anywhere in Britain. I don't think it's going to grow. That soil is not for it. So you constantly see us swear by the Bible in law courts and the Quran, and we still lie. You constantly see great pastors and good Christians ruling the people and great Alaji that have been to holy lands, they've been to Jerusalem and Saudi Arabia, they will still destroy their people because their foundation is lies. If them burn them well, give them iron maiden swear before they enter office, you see that things will change.
My conversion to African traditional spirituality wasn't an easy one as regards to my relationship with my mother. You know, I used to be very close to her because I was born into the Anglican family. I grew up a strong, stoic Christian because my mom would always drag us to church. You know, she saw me as a young pastor, as a young prophet, and all of a sudden there's a U-turn and you come back telling me I don't want to go to church anymore, you should go remove my name from every class, I don't want to associate myself anymore. If you're paying any money on my behalf, you're just wasting your money. These were the things I told her. You know, she felt really disappointed. You know, I saw myself going to church probably like 3-4 times in a week. You know, my dad was always like, why do you guys have to go to church all the time? Is it that you guys don't have anything you're doing? And, you know, we saw him like, you know, how do I quantify him? The people that have backslided, you know, people that are not believers, that's the way we saw our dad. So we saw him like a stumbling block on our road towards going to heaven. You know, so we saw our father growing up like the devil. You know, we called him all sorts of names. I remember we going to church and practically praying that my father died. I remember the times I went to church, you know, secluded in the church and praying Psalm 35 so that my dad could just die because we saw him as the devil. We were praying against him because he wasn't going to church and he didn't believe in our ideologies, and also coupled with the fact that a lot of prophecies do come from these so-called men of God, men of, you know, pastors, prophets, saying that our dad was evil and wanted to kill us, wanted to destroy us. So we just grew up hating him.
Children from traditional homes where, for instance, in our house it's Ogun that we worship, in that compound it's Shango. Those children they started practicing religions that were forced on them. Religions that came with swords and guns and bullets. They took that on and were ready to destroy their fathers' houses to say their ancestors were fetish.
I grew up being so scared of hellfire. It was one of the fears that I conquered, and that was the biggest fear of my life. I was so much engrossed in the fear of hellfire that I practically wake up every morning and the next thing that hits my mind is burning in eternal fire. And my mood becomes dampened, I become very fearful. I remember I was in the church this particular Sunday, and the pastor's, no, it was the people's warden. He came to me and said some very embarrassing things because I had these dreadlocks on me then, and it was seen like a taboo, going to church with that particular kind of hairstyle. He came to me and he said something like, "I don't want to see you in church again with this kind of hair." And he actually drew my hair, and people were watching me, trying to get my reaction. And after the whole experience, I went on I started asking myself some very deep questions. Is this the way the Church of God is supposed to be? Do I have to look in a particular way before I can be appealing to God? Who sets those rules? I traveled all the way from Lagos down to Anambra State. And I met my dad and I told him, today is my birthday, and the greatest gift you can give me is to take me to a traditionalist, a traditional priest, otherwise called Dibia in our language. And I asked him to pray for me, and he was shedding tears. He was crying. Yeah. I know it was tears of joy. It was tears of joy that his lost son is now found. I was, taken aback, and it was like, okay. And he took me to Idibia, and that was the first time I had Alpha divination done for me, the oracle where they throw, these cowries and shells, and, it gives you insights about someone's future, past, and present. And I remember the Dibia saying something like, "Why did it take you so long? This thing I'm doing is something you're supposed to be doing. The spirits are not happy with you. You've wasted a whole lot of time." And I was lost. I didn't know what he was talking about. I needed help from every angle. He mentioned some items I was going to use to start up, but I also remember my dad telling me that, okay, he has given you what the oracle says, but you also have to use your mind, In Igbo, it's called Ana Abafa, Ana Abuche. It means when the oracle is speaking to you, you also have to also use your mind to understand. Don't just take everything hook, line, and sinker. I remember that very night, for the first time ever, I sat down with my dad and we talked and we discussed till around 2 a.m. in the morning. It has never ever happened before. My previous encounters were just within 4 or 5 minutes, I'll just try and run away because, he was the devil.
And all of these rituals, you don't worship them just sitting down and looking. This is Africa, it's a land of rhythm. So there'll be music, there'll be drums, there'll be percussions, there'll be dances.
And I think with the Yorubas in particular, it's all about rhythm. That's what we're known for. Intricate rhythms with which we invoke ancestors with which we communicate with the gods, with which we communicate with our environment as well.
Dance is that thing that takes us to that signal. So a connection with the ancestors, really, like I said earlier on, is that a vessel is the human being, and the way you connect with the ancestors is through the dance.
Nítorí bí alẹ́lẹ́ bá lẹ́ wọ́nrọ́wọ́nrọ́ máa kéèjì méjì kùtù oníwọ̀nrán làgbòde ní kùtùkùtù ní bẹ̀lẹ̀bẹ̀lẹ̀ bá mi lára mo jà aṣọ lọ. Kárọ́jú kábọ̀ bá òwò bàbá mi ọ̀rọ̀ ìtàn bódò ọ̀la ni ẹ jọ̀wọ́ ká gbìyànjú kábọ̀ bá òwò ìpà ọ̀rọ̀ ìtàn náà ọ̀la ni.
Ultimately, Yoruba religious corpus, the Ifa corpus, is one where there isn't a clear demarcation when it comes to how music transcends. So it doesn't stop at the place of worship. It doesn't stop at the shrine. You continue because you're constantly communicating with your ancestors and with the gods. So you don't have to only go to a shrine in order to communicate. You can do that at home. You can do that on the farm. You can do that in the market.
And so they do the songs, they do the chants, till the person becomes possessed. They play the drums till the person gets into that state that the person is supposed to get to. That person now becomes a conduit. The person's language can even change. The walking style, you can see an old woman become a baby in movements when possessed. And you'll see it, they won't tell you it's physical. You don't even have to be spiritual to see. You just see that, this is an impossible movement coming from a normal human being.
So I think the fluidity of the Yoruba understanding of the religious motif also kind of like informs why people were able to also put it into secular music, because there are no people out there that are red flagging it or anything like that. It's just natural.
This dance, that is the conveyor belt that takes the medium. And when I talk about the medium is the person or the vessel. So the vessel is conveyed through those ritual dances to the realm.
So when you want to invoke Shango, you use that via the drum, a particular drum, the bata drum. So there are certain patterns that you play to invoke this god. So, and it's something that is played by the initiated. So you have to be initiated. Not only must you be a drummer, you must understand the temperament of Shango, and you must be able to invoke that spirit of Shango in order for Shango to communicate with you.
Well, freedom of worship is right there in the Constitution, Article 38, as I've read, but in practice, it is restricted. In some parts of Nigeria, particularly in the north, when there is Ramadan fasting, you can't eat openly. Okay, you can't worship openly. You can't change from Islam to Christianity, but you can change from Christianity to Islam. Okay.
So religious fanaticism is the major problem we have now. So what you have is a situation where we are all in our different camps, So the Muslim, the Christian, the traditionalist, most especially the colonizers' religions, Christianity and Islam, that are not accommodating at all, And with the new Pentecostal movements and the new Islamic movements,
If you read the dailies today, you see more and more of religious conflicts involving traditionalists. For example, in Kwara or Shogbo, we read of a masquerade being attacked by having a conflict with worshippers in a mosque, and I think somebody was shot in the process. In Abeokuta, there were instances between the Oro worshippers and Christians. I remember what led to the church at Okegbore, St. Paul's. It used to be an Oro groove. that mountain, the worshippers went, arrested some Christians, took them to the grove to torture them. Then all the Christians en masse went to the grove and scattered the whole place. And they took over the place. And then they established the church there.
Anyone that wants to dig deeper will have a hard time, even finding the right people to guide them. So luckily, it's now hip in popular culture when you look at Beyonce and the likes of them, that are celebrating African religions, through dance, through symbolisms in their music videos and all of that. Because what we have now is that a lot of the custodians of our culture, people that were able to get first-hand information, those who are living memories and living archives, our elders, a lot of them are passing away. So what you have is a situation where knowledge can't be transferred. And very few of our music are actually written down. We don't have notations. It's an oral tradition. While you're reinventing yourself, you're also cutting ties with your past. And part of that whole process is demonizing the villagers, your ancestors, and cutting all ties and links to them.
The resurgence of young people going to traditional religion, to me, is as a result of globalization. It's also as a result of nationalization or nationalism, a sort of identity, people going back to their roots. Okay, people finding a sort of dissatisfaction in Islam, dissatisfaction in Christianity.